Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. I hope you have your favorite cool beverage. I've got some homemade lemonade here and I am enjoying the view from the back porch. And if you are hearing the wind blowing, I hope it's not blowing into the mic. It's actually blowing through the trees, and I showed you a little quick clip as I began to show you what my view is right now. I believe that if I keep from recording with my back to the sky, that helps that real bright fluctuation that I was getting in a few of the previous videos that I was trying to, have pretty scenery behind me, but I don't know, to me it was just so bright that it was very distracting, and the camera kind of wanted to go in and out. I think a chicken just laid an egg or something. It was happy for some reason. But anyway, I'm glad that you joined us here on the homestead today. It's been a minute since we've just sat and visited, so I thought we'd do that. I don't have a script or anything to go off of, which is always a dangerous thing because I can go down some rabbit holes real quick and chase bunny trails quicker than a beagle. So just thought we'd do a little bit of visiting, catch you up on a few things that's been going on around here, which is not a lot as far as anything spectacular that y'all would really want to hear about, but we have been staying busy, as does everyone. My husband has been busy since last weekend, doing some things other than work. He's also been doing some extra jobs with his skid steer and getting more calls about that. So he's been staying pretty busy. Of course, this time of year here on the homestead, we're always busy because the garden is really coming along. I'll have to show you a video soon about that. The squash, I'm fixing to be picking squash. The zucchini are going crazy, and I noticed that several other squash that I have planted out there are also really putting on, and the flowers are putting on a show, and then the fruit's coming on right behind it. So things are looking good in that aspect. Seeing that I'm going to have to get out there, I noticed it yesterday that I need to get out there and do a little bit of weeding before it gets out of hand. If you've ever gardened, you know what I mean. One day you'll look and you've got, it looks like a 1/4 inch tall weeds, and in 2 days, it's knee high. So I've got some weeding to get done, and just the general maintenance of a garden. I noticed some of my tomato plants are looking a little, some are looking really good, and then others are looking like, I don't know, they need some help. So I'm probably going to put some Epsom salt in there. Epsom salt does wonders in a garden. It's like a natural fertilizer. For some reason, it just peps up the plants, and they really appreciate it. And so I'll add in some Epsom salt, and with my tomatoes, I will also probably use, I have some eggshells that I dried really well. I just stick them in the dehydrator and let them go for a few minutes. You can also use an air fryer, just don't leave them in there too long because burnt eggshell really stinks. Don't ask me how I know. But then you can powder it and make pretty much it's calcium, and you can put that into your tomato beds, and tomatoes really love it. If you don't have powdered eggshell, you can always use like Tums, like for antacids, those kind of Tums. You can use those. I've used powdered milk, and powdered milk's pretty expensive. So if you've got some other method of getting calcium to your tomatoes, you might want to use that. But if you've got an excess of powdered milk, or if you have a way of getting powdered milk cheaply, you can use powdered milk. But make sure that you don't have a lot of, make sure that if you're using things like powdered milk or even the eggshell, that you get that down kind of mixed into the dirt good, because you don't want critters out there trying to get what you've, because they like the taste of it and they're going to get out there and try to get it. So get that mixed into the dirt good. But I'm gonna do that. Just, you just kind of baby along your garden, and it will do well for you. You've seen my recent video, I hope, of where I was clipping the onion tops. I've got to do that again. That was, what, 2 weeks ago, maybe? It hasn't been very long that I made that video, and they're double that size now. They are growing like gangbusters. So I seen the bulbs the other day. I was looking at some of them. They are growing really fast, and so I think we're gonna have a good batch of onions this year. The fruit trees are, me and my little sister got to visit with her yesterday. We took a look at the fruit trees. The apple trees are just loaded. I think I'm gonna have to prop up some apple tree limbs, but they're growing like crazy. The apples are just loaded. The pear trees are loaded. I hadn't checked. I need to go check on the persimmon tree, but normally the persimmon trees are loaded. But I know the apples and pears are. And the elderberry is just about to start blooming. I noticed that the blackberries are blooming like crazy. So I think everything really benefited from the extreme cold that we had over the winter. Apple trees in particular like a extended period of cold. I don't know how cold they like it, but apparently they didn't mind that it was like minus 20 or whatever it was. It was minus no. This southern girl would just as soon it not ever get that cold, but the apple trees seem to appreciate it. My fig tree, I thought I'd lost my fig tree because nothing came out and it didn't bud or do anything at all. And so the other day I was out there and I was cutting all the dead stems that were coming up from the ground. I cut everything down because it was all dead. And as I did, and as I started raking back leaves, I noticed that there was new shoots that were coming up from the roots of the fig trees. So they are, in just a matter of days, they're up probably 6-8 inches. So I think the fig tree is going to come back. It's having to come back from the ground, which is fine. It'll do that, and over the next couple of years it'll reestablish and it'll be fine. But otherwise, I think everything seems to be doing well. The grass is growing like crazy. We really could use more rain because we haven't had a good rain this season that's gave us a lot of runoff to fill up our ponds. So the ponds are looking kind of low, and the ground has been really dry. But this week we were really blessed. We had 2 rains. We had a rain Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, where unexpectedly we got, I think it was almost an inch of rain, and so that was really good. And then yesterday the sun was shining brighter than it is right now. I mean, the sun was just shining, and all of a sudden it started raining, and it come a pretty good little shower, and the whole time the sun was just a-shining. And I've noticed the clouds are starting to move in again today, and if you believe the old wives' tale of if it rains while the sun's shining, it'll rain again tomorrow at the same time. It's quite possible because it is clouding up some today, so we may get another rain again today. I'm not going to complain about it at all because we do need the rain. I've already had to water the garden once, and the less that I have to water it, the better, because for one thing it's expensive, but the other thing is that I think it just does better with the rainwater than it does, treated water. So we are, even though we live way out here in the boondocks, we are on a water service. I really wish that we had the money to dig a well. I have water witched a spot back here in the back that there's going to be water underground back there, but just trying to get down to it by ourselves, I don't think we'd ever get a well dug. I don't think we could hand dig it through this rock, but if we could ever afford a service to come out and put us a well in, that would be wonderful, because I'm pretty sure there's water back there where I witched it. And let me think. Oh, I had promised y'all a video on a wild lettuce tincture. I had promised to do that, but I have not yet done it. As if you've been watching for it, you know that. I have not made it yet. I started to, and then it's like, I think I want to let it, the plants that I have been looking at that I was going to harvest, I want to let them get a little bigger. I don't want them to be fully bloomed out and, too late in the year, but I want them to be at maximum strength when I do harvest them. And I'd like to do that right before the blooms open, and they have not started putting out blooms yet. So I want to wait just a little bit before I make the wild lettuce tincture, because I want it to be strong enough to do good, but not so strong that, or I don't want it to, once it gets past its prime, then it starts losing strength again. So I don't want that to happen either. And somebody on one of my videos had asked on one of the tinctures, how much do you take? And they wanted to know about the plantain, about how much would you take for if you had some type of respiratory inflammation or something of that nature. And here is, now I am not a doctor, I am not an expert, I'm still learning just like you. So I'm sure there's somebody out there that's an expert, but I'm not going to profess to be, because I am not. But just as with any even pharmacy medication, if it's something you have not taken before, I don't think taking a lot of anything is a good idea. So with a tincture, what I suggest is that no matter what it is, when you first start taking a tincture, you're taking it by drops. You're not making shots. You're not making glasses of this stuff. You're taking little drops of it. And if I start out taking something new, I will start with 3 drops. Does 3 drops work? Well, if you take 3 drops 3 times a day, see if that helps. If that doesn't help, go up to 4 drops, 5 drops. I wouldn't go over 15 drops of anything. If you have to take too much of it, either what you have is really serious and maybe you need to seek, a little bit more professional help, or maybe whatever it is you're taking, your tinctures, is not strong enough. And speaking of strength with tinctures, me and my little sister had this talk yesterday, because with tinctures, I know some people use 80 proof vodka for their tinctures, and that's fine. I mean, I've made some with 80 proof. It's not as strong, but I prefer to use 100 proof. Now, you don't have to use top shelf vodka. You know, just go in there. They laugh at me when I go into the liquor store because it's obvious I have no idea when it comes to alcohol what I'm talking about. And so whenever I went in to pick up some vodka, I went in and told the man, I am needing 100 proof vodka, and I don't want no high dollar stuff. I want the cheapest thing you've got in the biggest jug you've got. So he laughed and he said, you must be making tinctures. I said, I am, yes. And so he led me over to the shelf where he had a couple of choices, and I made my choices and carried them up to the front. And he said, yes, I have a lot of ladies that come in, and this is what they get for their tinctures. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But me and my little sister had a talk yesterday, and for hers, she prefers the stronger Everclear, which is, what is it, 180 proof, blow your head off proof. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea when it comes to alcohol. My grandpa was a moonshiner, and I still know nothing about alcohol. But the reason I go with 100 proof and I don't like anything any stronger is that I want to be able to, if my pets or any of my animals around here if they're sick, if they have respiratory, yes, you can give tinctures to animals. However, you don't want to give a dose like you give an adult human, and you don't want to give anything that's going to be too high of a proof that it could potentially harm them. That's why I like going with 100 proof, because 100 proof, you know, it's not gonna hurt them. It's not gonna make you drunk. If you take enough tincture to get intoxicated off of, you're taking entirely too much tincture, and I don't know what effect you think you're trying to get. That ain't it, honey. That ain't it. So I go with 100 proof. I don't go over 100 proof. What I do is I use 100 proof, and I just let my tinctures go longer. I don't heat my tinctures. You know, some people will put them on heating pads, and some people will put their stuff in crock pots, and they'll do various things to try to speed it up. I don't. I keep mine in a dark place, and I keep it room temperature. You know, I don't put them in a cold storage or nothing, but I don't heat them. And I just let them. Pretty much the only thing that I do is I go in there and I'll shake them every few days. The same thing if I'm making oils, if I'm making infusions, I do the same thing. Pretty much it's fix it and forget it. Don't forget it so much that you don't go back and, you know, shake them up, stir them around, you know, but just, you know, keep them moving every once in a while. But I will leave things. I know everything says at least 6 weeks. I will leave things 3 months. The longer you can leave it in there, the more it's going to extract out. But I do believe that there is a point where it's not going to extract any more out. So don't put it in there for 5 years to go, oh, I'll need to get that out of there. So, sorry, kicked the camera. But anyway, that is kind of what I do with my tinctures. But yes, don't think you have to take tinctures like you do with pharmacy type medications, because really, if they're made correctly and you're taking them for the correct things. Now remember, when you're taking things, when you're doing home remedies, you're also doing home diagnosis. So be aware that, you know, you might take a tincture for something thinking that it's one, you know, you're trying to help one thing, and maybe that's not what it is. But you know, that the same thing happens in the medical profession. That's why they call it practicing. I'm watching, there's a red wasp that he's just looking all over the place for him somewhere to start a little nest. But Anyway, if that's what you see me glancing off, I'm watching this red wasp. He's just working away. Well, I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I'm smelling coming through the kitchen window over here. I keep catching a whiff. I've got a Mississippi pot roast that's cooking, and it's about to starve me to death. I started it early this morning, and it'll be ready for supper, and it smells so good. I don't know if you've ever had Mississippi pot roast. Maybe we'll make one day on video. It's so simple. I feel ridiculous making it, because it's really, you throw your roast in a pot with some, brown gravy mix and, ranch dressing or au jus or whichever ones you prefer, and a stick of butter and some peppers and onions. And if I fix a roast, I'm gonna have rosemary in it. If you don't like rosemary, you can throw it out in the yard. I don't care, but I love rosemary. So I always have rosemary in mine, and bay leaves, and as my daddy would say, all them pine needles and leaves that Mama raked up out of the yard. But it's some of the best roast. I love that stuff. But anyway, that's what I'm making for supper. And I plan on doing some fishing this evening. I don't know what my husband's got plans to do, but I plan on doing some fishing. Because when I walked out the door a while ago, the catfish were just tearing the water up out here. So I'm going to go see here in a little while how hungry they are. Because I wouldn't mind having a big old mess of catfish this weekend. I will be having another video come out probably tomorrow about the old days, old ways. If you caught, or even if you didn't catch last week's video, we talked about the family dynamics pretty much of my family, mostly in the mid-60s to mid-70s. And then this week I'm going to be talking, this one will be fun, we're going to be talking about technology and what type of technology we had back during that time. So if you're my age or around, so maybe you'll join me in reminiscing. If you're younger, you may laugh, which is okay, because I look back and I laugh at some of the things too, just thinking of some of the differences between now and back then in technology. But I hope you do join us, be watching for that video. It'll probably come out tomorrow. This depends on what's going on around here, but it'll probably be tomorrow. And but just watch for it, and I do hope that you come back. If you're not subscribed, subscribe so you can be notified when I put out new videos. And I hope if you have not seen previous videos, just go back, check out what's there, watch what you like. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and comment. Love seeing the comments. Well, I'm going to get off of here because there's some things I need to go get done and quit lounging and drinking lemonade. Actually, I'm going to go drink my lemonade before all the ice melts. But I love y'all. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll be talking to you again real soon. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.